this summit is about for me is it's about convergence and integration. Now, integration is not a word that we're particularly comfortable with in North Carolina. It's got a particularly scary past for us. I'll tell you when I first heard it. I was 9 years old. It was 1970 in Siler City, North Carolina, where I grew up. And integration was coming in our little elementary school. I was in 4th grade. And it was something that the parents were all stirred up about. It had something to do with those black children from across the community who were going to come to our school. And so everybody was just stirred up. It was just all this fear and all in the atmosphere. Well, those children came over, and in retrospect, I can't believe that anybody allowed this to happen. But the 4th grade teacher put all those little black children on one side of the class, all the little white children on the other side of the class. And then she turned to the white children and she taught us. And this really happened. This is what happened. But then we would go out to recess, and the children all learned how to play together. And for the boys, it happened through sports, and it happened pretty quickly. But for the girls, it didn't happen so quickly. There was a lot of, girl stuff going on. And there was a young, brave woman. I don't know where she is in her adult life now because she moved out of the community. I remember her name was Carolina Fox. And Carolina came up to me, and we thought, it looked like we were getting ready to fight. Girls fought back then in Siler City, North Carolina. And what Carolina did is she said, "Can I touch your hair?" And I said, "Yes, only if you can let me touch your hair." And so the next thing we know, both of us are taking out cornrows and dog ears and our hands all in each other's hair. And pretty soon all the girls were doing it. The teachers came out and had a nervous breakdown when they saw it all. But we kind of integrated ourselves because the next thing that happened is we all started working together and sitting together and being a community of children together. Now, it wasn't easy, and there's lots of other stories about growing up in that little southern town. It's just down the road. But it's about touching each other's hair. Maybe, I'm not going to do your nose hair thing, just so you know. It's about getting in and learning the human side of each other and how you're all the same. Well, the medical community has been separated for a long period of time from the rest of our world in many respects as it relates to some very, very important issues that we really all have to solve together. And one is the fact that the very most important aspect of what we need to solve together as human beings is the integration of behavioral health and communities in our medical system into one whole. We got to touch each other's hair. So it's about integration. It's also about convergence. This is a time in medical history that is undergoing rapid changes, partly as a result of the Affordable Care Act. And for those of you that weren't paying attention, partly as a result of the legislation that passed this week to change forever the way physicians are paid in this country. And one of the things that's getting ready to happen over the next 10 years is physicians are going to have to figure out how to integrate as part of communities to understand how to work better with communities to take care of some really basic issues. In my organization, we've been sort of playing around the edges with this for a while. We understand that behavioral health is as important as anything else in making sure that patients stay well. And so we've been doing some experiments like knowing that the reason people get hospitalized for heart failure has more to do with depression than it does heart disease. We've embedded social work into our heart function clinic. We've done the same thing in our internal medicine clinics that are taking care of people with polychronic clinics. But it's not going to be enough and it's not adequate. What is actually adequate is for the medical community to start converging with the place where people actually live and understand that behavioral health and mental health is not to be separated, but it's who we are as human beings. Looking around the community of those of us here right now, 1 out of 4 of us will suffer an episode of major depression in our lifetimes. And every one of us will have some aspect of our lives impacted personally or through our families with significant mental illness. When Dr. Weinberg, Reverend Cleveland, and I were first starting to talk about some of this stuff together, we were in the shadow of Robert Williams' suicide. Of course, in the past month, we've seen the impact of a young man who was a pilot in Europe who had severe depression that was being hidden. As a result of that hiding, over 150 people lost their lives. So it's time to out all this. It's time for us to converge together, to understand that church bulletins with a shut-in list may be as important to health as what happens in a physician's office. In fact, it's probably more important. It's time for us to converge our communities, our medical groups, our churches, our faith-based communities, our shut-in list, and to integrate and to touch one another's heart. So thank you for being part of this outing this morning, and I hope that we can learn together far better the wisdom of integration so that we can heal, and so that we can converge, and so that we can change the world together. Thank you.